you get excited about crypto. I definitely get excited about crypto. The government here, they want to build these new economies and they want to be at the forefront of it. My job as a leader is to sort of use my energy to sort of make sure everyone else is working hard. These are the guys that went all in at the right time and it worked. But lots of people have gone all in on crypto and it not worked.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast in partnership with the Megaverse and the Chehade events. Now, today's guest on the podcast is the Executive Director and General Manager of Binance, which is the biggest crypto exchange in the world. And he's going to be talking to us all about crypto, how it works, how the exchange works, and how you can benefit from using crypto assets to build your portfolio. Alex Chehade has more than 20 years of experience in finance, 12 in operations and trading, and he's been in virtual assets since 2016, and he hasn't looked back, working towards a vision of bridging the gaps from the physical and digital worlds. Over at Binance, he's responsible for leading and growing the operation of the regulated Binance business here in Dubai and spearheading the growth of the region's ecosystem from all things Web3, the metaverse, virtual assets, and more. This is a really interesting episode if you want to learn about the future of money, Web3, and how it will impact your life. Megaverse, the digital frontier of tomorrow. Megaverse stands at the cutting-edge intersection of technology and imagination. It's a virtual realm where the limitless expanse of the digital universe unfolds, offering users unparalleled experiences and interactions. With its advanced metaverse platform, users can craft unique avatars, forge connections, and even establish their own digital estates. It's more than just virtual reality. Megaverse is an expansive digital civilization teeming with opportunities for both individuals and brands. From immersive concerts to revolutionary retail experiences, Megaverse is redefining the way we engage with the digital world. As we stand on the brink of a new era where the lines between our physical reality and the digital realm blur, Megaverse is poised to lead the charge in this brave new world. Dive in and discover a universe without bounds. This really is the future. And lastly, thank you to Chehade Events, who have been sponsoring us now on the podcast for over a year. Chehade bring motivational speakers to the region to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to achieve better success and live a better life. So Alex, thank you so much for coming to join us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure as always.
It's interesting, talking to you because you've assumed this position in this big successful brand of Binance, and kind of like the world knows about this brand now, and the people that don't understand crypto still have heard of Binance. Mm-hmm. And yet you, many years ago, were sat in an audience watching me present on stage, which I find quite interesting. Take us back so that people can understand a bit about your career and how you've developed over the years. Where did you start? What were your interests? And then how did you then get into the world of crypto and business really as well?
Okay, so I studied physics at university.
There's always people that study. That's the toughest thing to study, isn't it? That's what the really bright people do.
That's what they say. It was tough. But it's something I enjoyed. I'm more numbers than words, so it was maths or physics, and I enjoyed problem solving and understanding how things work, so it led to physics. And I actually did my master's in quantum computing, which I forgot about for quite a while. And now, everyone talks about it in crypto, and it's like, oh, actually, I do know a little bit about this. So it's quite funny. So people on stage like to sort of have a quick chat about these things, and I'm like, you're not quite right there, but it's.
Are you a bit geeky like that though? Were you into kind of like more geeky, techie kind of number related stuff as a youngster?
Yeah, I mean, I did sports as well, but like I enjoyed to read, and as I say, like numbers were something I enjoyed. So maths, physics, chemistry, these sort of things. When you're good at things, it's easier to sort of enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So after physics, I was in London, and financial services hub, and that's the main industry. So you sort of most jobs, most opportunities, and I went into trading. Trading companies like physicists, mathematicians, And so jumped into that with another guy.
What were you trading?
We were trading interest rates.
Oh, okay.
So funnily enough, me and another guy called Spencer, we were the first two grads in this trading company. And we were trading interest rates, never done anything with economics, didn't do economics at school, didn't even know that was a subject. We went to a comprehensive, so that wasn't an option. And we learned about macroeconomics, charting, supply, just trading these futures on CME, on CBOT, on Life, the London floor. And it was the life traders. So, the guys in the pit. So it's a very charismatic place. Everyone's shouting and arguing the whole time. And I think I've taken in that sort of mentality into my subsequent offices. So
I've got to stop you there. How old are you?
41.
Okay, you look about 25. So I'm sitting there thinking, how was he exposed to that? That's all automated now. So you were actually down in the pits with the guys. So let's give people some perspective on this, because I think if you've never been in one of those places, they're a real kind of hive of energy, aren't they? And a place, as a young person in business, like a place that really seductive.
So the live floor, so when I started, it was parallel. So they were just closing the live floor, but they had the live floor and then they had the screens. Uh-huh. And people were doing arbitrage between the screens and the floor. They shouldn't have been doing it, but they were. And then it went totally screen-based. But there was still arbitrage opportunities. It was still really new. And so like spreads, calendar spreads, butterflies, they were arbitrage opportunities. So people could buy the outrights and then trade it against what a screen price would be. And, it was very good, but it became much more efficient and tightened up. And by 2009, when the world was also crumbling, like the inefficiencies were almost gone. Everyone's using computers. That's why they brought in physicists. And so we had arbitrage bots really tightening things to like bips rather than percentage points for arbitrage. And then I guess that's when I first found out about crypto, because I was in Cape Town at the time. We had a trading desk down there, and we were sitting at the bottom of Africa every day looking at the Dow down 400, down 500, and I hadn't seen the Dow down 100 before. And we were asking guys a bit older than us, what's going on? No one knew. Banks start failing. We hadn't seen that really in our lifetime. I mean, Bearing Bank we'd heard of. A few of the guys were around at that point, but that was a sort of one relatively isolated incident. And so, carried on trading and realized that, this isn't a solved problem. There's still, financial institutions don't quite understand everything. People don't understand everything. And going back to being geeky, I was on Reddit as from early days, and that's where Bitcoin came. And I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of the wizard.
Yes.
Yeah, with the internet money, And that sparked their interest, had a little look, bought some Bitcoin, but wasn't still working in financial services, wasn't totally convinced by it, sort of forgot about it a bit. Some people would tease me a little bit about buying Bitcoin and you're an anarchist. And I was like, no, it's just interest, right? And then I think I remember working at another firm around 2010, and we had a Bitcoin feed. I think we had Bitcoin and Litecoin at the time, but no one traded it, and you just flutter around. So didn't think much of it. And then fast forward to 2016, I was out here. I just left or exited a company that set up with a couple of guys, one from London, one from here, so it brought me out here. And I was like, do I go back into the same trading? Or I was like, let's have a look at crypto. And it was just as it was sort of picking up and becoming interesting. And, it was past Ethereum. So, a couple of other cryptos, and people were starting to create new cryptos with new ideas. And I thought, let's dig in and have a look. And thankfully here, there were quite a lot of people sort of talking about it. It's a thoroughfare, right? Because Dubai is a sort of travel hub. So people would stop off here and talk about crypto. And from that point on, I've only been working in crypto. I helped a few financial services firms here sort of set up abilities to add crypto to their trading platform or trading sort of large trades for some of their clients. And then in 2019, ADGM released a framework for digital assets, virtual assets as they call them. And then I joined a couple of friends, mid-chains, and set up a licensed MTF, multilateral trading facility in ADGM and custodian. So did that for a couple of years. And then my boss is Richard Teng, who used to be CEO of ADGM. And then a few of the other people from ADGM joined Binance at the time, and we'd sort of seen. And I got a call and they said, do you want to come join Binance? And I thought, there's a fantastic opportunity. It's the name, the brand, the volume. I was like, it's a golden ticket to have fun and really try and change the industry.
So a no-brainer to join a world you'd got excited about. But there's one thing investing in coins and another thing working for essentially the bank or the house almost with that trading exchange. What did you learn about business when you went to work at Binance? You were clearly a startup at that point and you learned about Bitcoin, but did you learn more about business, and was that something that interested you and satisfied you, or were you one of these guys that was just really into understanding and being part of the crypto space?
I really enjoy learning. So diving into the crypto, diving into how it works and explaining to regulators is something that really resonates with me. For Binance, I've really learned, because of the nature of the company, it was very distributed. Before regulations came out, it was just distributed people running the platform. But since regulations come out, they've allowed Binance to set up a home here. So we've got 600 people in Dubai. There's other big concentrations of people in France as well, and the enterprise, although I have a tight team that deal with the daily operations, is much wider and very distributed, and people. It's a different way of managing people. We're used to managing people face-to-face, FaceTime, going to see people. Whether you're having debates or arguments, it's a lot easier face-to-face. You can continue discussions, you can bring people in, but this is very much screen-based. Luckily we had COVID, which allowed us to sort of learn how to do this. But it's been a continuing experience for sort of managing a vast business by screen rather than by people. So that's
let's dig into that for a little while, because I want to talk about crypto for the benefit of everybody watching right now, and they're going to want some updates and stuff. But when you look at corporate wellness and you try and understand how companies get the most out of people, we've seen this seismic shift from a 53-year-old man that's old school, that was like, sign a contract, it's 9 to 5, 5 days a week, show up, otherwise you're fired, you 1 hour for lunch and all that kind of stuff, to a world now where people are saying, you know what, I actually don't want to work 5 days a week, I want to work 4, or actually, I don't want a toxic environment, and I want my boss to trust me, or whatever it may be. And when you have 600 people working for your business here that you're responsible for, and many of them are remote, it must be really challenging to make sure you understand them all, understand what their motivators are, what inspires them, what drives them, and to get the very best out of them. So how have you learned how to handle that?
So when I first started up with mid-chains, this was the first experience where trying to teach people crypto on screen, and especially when people don't have their cameras on, it's really difficult to understand whether it's going in, it's going over their head.
They're even there.
Yeah, you lose that engagement. So obviously learned these lessons early on, about really understanding if people are concentrating, looking at other things, that sort of connection you need in order to get knowledge transfer. Luckily, Binance had always been remote first, so I think they've, my HR business partner that manages the region here for me, she's been a part of Binance for I think almost 5 years. So they have built that up, and in our staff portal, there's about wellness. We have team building subsidies. So just to go out and meet, go out for lunch, go out for a drink, go out for dinner, because you need to build those connections, right? And that's still the best way of doing it. And I also take time, I guess, in meetings as well to sort of chit chat, as you would at the water machine, as you would in the coffee machine, to sort of engage, right? So make sure that you're chatting to people and not just treating people as a commodity. And that's how you do it. But it's hard work. You have to put the effort in. So you can't expect it all to work as easily as maybe if you're in an office. But I think just making sure you chit chat to people, make sure you always ask, like here, people always ask how you are. Doing that on calls, making sure you understand, praise after meetings, or especially where there's been a disagreement on a call. I generally always try to sort of message that person afterwards and just say that I respect what we're doing. But let's try and address these things. And I think some people that are probably more shy stand out a little bit better in these remote first places, because they're comfortable, that they're maybe a bit more introverted. But then when you engage them, the first time, they're pulled back. So you need to sort of, I guess, understand who you can sort of bash heads with and get something good out of them, and who you have to be more subtle with. And that takes time. And again, you just have to learn it. You have to just spend the time learning about people.
A lot of times in business, people don't think that business is about people, but at the end of the day, that's all it's about, really, isn't
Absolutely.
it? And being the boss here for Binance, you've got 600 people that essentially you have to get performing as well as they possibly can. When you look across, when I would assume the kind of demographic of people you've got, or psychographics of people that you have, I would always just assume it's more techie types, coders, developers, these types of people who we sadly stereotypically would regard as more introverted than extroverted. Is that a fair assumption, an unfair assumption? What do you think?
That's very fair.
Very fair.
Very fair.
Okay.
I mean, even in physics, right? So, in my undergrad, again, there's also gender disparity, right? In my undergrad, there were probably 3 girls out of 40 people. And then, almost everyone's quite introverted. And that you see that computer science, you see that in maths. So we're trying to even that out. I mean, thankfully, Binance has a much better gender diversity. There's a lot more. I mean, lots of the senior women at Binance.com, in the top tier, and I guess they've done a good job of sort of promoting that and keeping equality. We spoke a little bit about it on a panel last week. It builds a more healthy discussion, right? Because you've got different viewpoints and everything else.
But when you take a business that's about people, and then you've got introverts, that becomes then a challenge as to your energy. Does it suck your energy? They say that the introvert, when they spend a lot of time with people, their energy is sucked, and when an extrovert's around people, their energy is brought in. They get more energy from the people. So do you find it challenging, being the kind of personality you are as a leader in a business, to connect in that way and get your energy from it?
Yeah, well, that is a challenge, right? And as I said, luckily, I guess I'm probably more extroverted than introverted. And in my baptism of fire, the guys from the life floor, sort of these guys are at a different level, walking around the office, clapping and cheering, banging desks and singing songs like on 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. So it's completely different. So my job as a leader is to sort of use my energy to sort of make sure everyone else is working hard. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about crypto then. We've seen obviously lots of stuff in the news over the course of the last 12 months. We've got news here where there's VARA, which is the authority that's issuing the various license that needs to be issued. We've also got the FTX drama that happened. And along the way, we've gone into a bit of a bear market for the crypto world. Mm-hmm. Now, the predictions that are coming out from different people all look very promising. But what is the sentiment at the moment, do you think, from people around crypto, meme coins, and your stalwarts with ETH and Bitcoin at the moment? What are you getting from the market?
So I guess general sentiment is down, but not as miserable, I guess, as when FTX was happening. So I think we bounced back from that, and I think Binance especially, and lots of other industry players are really talking about sort of this is a build phase, and people like Ray Dalio say you need to have boom and bust, right? Trying to equalize markets just isn't going to work, and that's not natural cycles, and that doesn't happen with farming. It doesn't happen in nature, right? So you need to have boom and bust, and what we're seeing with crypto and blockchain and Web3 is we're seeing real use cases emerge. So let's go back to 2016, 2017. There are lots of tokens. No one knew what they're doing. No one knew how they worked. They didn't work, right? And people were just creating tokens and then trying to work out what problem they're going to solve, and that was unsustainable. And we saw that die out. So now it needs to be much more sustainable. So people that are building and have the capital and can raise capital have good use cases, good problems to solve. They build an MVP first, a minimum viable product, which they can show to investors, VCs, get investment, and then start releasing tokens. So we're seeing that. We're seeing, there was a flash in the pan with NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, which were generally pictures. And then they were trying to build use cases afterwards, say, okay, now you're part of a club. Whereas now they're looking at sort of engaging, and lots of big brands, big car companies, food companies are now going, well, how do we engage our clients, right? We'll give them an NFT, which means like a reward card. And then we can, with certain protocols, message people. We can airdrop rewards to them. So now we have a product that we can solve problems with. And now with blockchain and settlement, so transfer of value is Bitcoin, and that's known. But now we're looking at oracles. So these are things like Chainlink or Ocean, where it looks at real world information and puts it onto the blockchain. So then you can build these decentralized apps. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are sort of at now with Web3. So with Web 1, people talk about this, and it's static web pages. And Web 2 is web pages that are dynamic, using people's data. Mm-hmm. And so this is the user data is owned by the companies like Meta, Uber, Airbnb to create a website and create engagement. But now we're looking at decentralized ways for people to own their engagement and own their identity and move it across. And we're still really early days. I mean, that's what you got to remember with crypto. It's an experiment, but people have access to it. So in traditional finance, when we're raising money for businesses, and whatever the stat is of number of businesses that fail, the public don't have access to that. Mm-hmm. And then when people are raising money, they raise from VCs and then goes to private equity firms. And people are not involved until it goes to a sort of IPO stage. Mm. And so it's been validated already. Yeah. But with crypto, it gives companies the opportunity to involve retail people very early. And they've not been exposed to that, and not cognitive of that risk.
Good point.
And so, crypto leverages network effects, communities, and allow people to invest. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Let's understand that in a bit more detail, because the average Joe mm-hmm. isn't a risk taker. the average Joe doesn't really understand investing. You know, I come from wealth management, and most people couldn't describe how a mutual fund works or how commodities work. If we're really honest, what they care about is being able to invest in something and get more than they started with at the end of whatever that set period is. And a lot of people ask the question, you know, is if I'm that kind of person, is getting involved in crypto for me? Should I be investing in this kind of stuff? And my answer typically is you should never put your life savings into something like this, but put a little bit of money every month into an exchange, buy and hold, and don't worry about stuff until 10 years down the road, because you'll be in a much better position than had you not done that. And I don't say that because I'm an oracle on the world of crypto, because I'm 100% not. I couldn't be further from it. But because I just believe that, you know, in my humble opinion, that all of this is the future of money. And whilst I don't believe in the NFTs and the memes and everything else, I do believe in, you know, 4 or 5 coins that I believe really are going to make the future of money for us. For me to say that to people, do you think that's fair?
It's totally fair. It's so with any new technology, it's unfamiliar, and crypto is unfamiliar to regulators. It's unfamiliar to traditional FIs, financial institutions. It acts like a bearer asset, so it puts the sophistication onto the user. So wallets are difficult, like crypto is difficult. Mark Cuban, a successful tech entrepreneur, got phished and lost money about a month ago.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Right, so it's difficult because it's a new technology, right? And we've been around long enough to see a couple of cycles of new technology, and you know, you stick with Amazon in 1999, and you know, look where you see it today. That's kind of where we are with the industry, because I think we're seeing it now resonate. Web3 is now resonating with big institutions because everyone is convinced about Web 2. That's undeniable. So the next evolution, no one wants to miss out. And goes back to the investment. And I'm sure you'll probably agree, you know, people talk about you need skin in the game, but you need to invest in a product to start understanding it or be interested in it. And so we're not talking about actively investing, but you're talking about just buy for interest, buy for exposure, buy to see how it works, and that will then build as it becomes more mature. And as the technology becomes more mature, it becomes less sophisticated, or at least sophisticated to interact with. So each wallet has different addresses, different protocols. You have to pay for transactions, sometimes in a different token. It's really difficult, and we're starting to see solutions to this. So there's a new, well, not that new, but we talk about account abstraction, right? So this abstracts away all the accounts, and it gives people one user identity to create, right? So that's already reducing the complexity and allowing people to get involved. And you know, Binance reduces the sophistication for people to get involved. And you know, should people look after their own crypto? I guess it depends on how sophisticated they are. It's the same with online banking. It's the same. People get phished for OTPs on their SMS. People click a link. People getting scammed for WhatsApp. You know, it's targeting the lack of familiarity with the product, right? And you know, it's not just crypto. It's like traditional banking as well. And so, as the products get more sophisticated and the user experience improves, these dangers and these risks are mitigated somewhat. But that's where we're moving towards, right? And you know, going back to Web 1, right? Web 1 was HTML, HTTP, and URLs. And you know, URLs are the location of where the data is stored, and then we have DNS, which is domain name server, so that's where you're pointing things to. But you know, I don't know if everyone in my office knows how the internet works still, but they use it proficiently. And you know, we have lots of security training at Binance to make sure people aren't phished. but it doesn't mean they know how it works. And it's the same with crypto. We're going to, like 5-10 years time, you don't need to know how wallets work. You don't need to know what's happening, where the transactions are. You just want the product and service. Yeah. But because it's so new, those nuts and bolts are exposed, and you can see the inner workings, and it's tricky.
Is Binance the biggest platform in the world? Yes. Okay, so there are competitors out there. There's obviously some that have gone by the wayside and over the years, and some recently. So when you look at who your competitors are in the space, who would you say are your competitors?
So there's about 4 or 5 crypto exchanges that have come to the UAE that we meet in sessions at Vara, and so we all want the same thing, and we're all pushing towards the same products and services, and it's helpful that the market is still so new that we talk about competitors. There's about 250 million people that use crypto actively. Right. How many people are on Twitter actively? It's a multiple of that, and that's just one product. So we're all looking. I mean, we probably have more or less a lot of the same clients, but we're all looking just outward about we're so consumed in crypto. We think everyone knows about it. All we talk about it. My wife knows enough about it because she hears what's going on. But one level away, my wife's cousin came to stay. She doesn't know anything about crypto. So, I don't think there's perhaps competition for sort of some of the current clients, but it's really about engaging people that don't know about crypto and giving them a good product, right? So, like you're seeing all the sports advertising with like crypto.com, with OKX, it's about sort of starting to educate people. And that's really the mission for all of us, is to sort of educate people about crypto.
Is your goal on new accounts? Is that one of your targets, how many new accounts you can open, or is it funded accounts, or is it traded accounts, or is it assets under management? What do you focus on as a business here?
So Binance makes money on trading.
Yeah.
So that's where we do. We don't charge for custody, and it costs us money to custody, but we're happily protect user assets and store it. But that's where we make money, on the trading exchange. But being the biggest, and we are the biggest by quite some way, we act as an ecosystem, and we act as an ecosystem enabler. So, Web3 projects and token projects and protocols, we're like a nexus for them to come engage with us, and we use our name and our events to bring people together to build.
Yeah.
The founders are builders. They're not traders. As I said, despite the exchange being the core of the business, the founders are technical guys. They're CTO guys, where they love tech, they love to build, they love product. And so we, as it grows, and luckily we have the ability to sort of concentrate on different products that maybe don't make money, but it's good for the business, and it's good for the ecosystem, it's good for crypto.
It's interesting you say that, because they're two very different breeds, aren't they? A developer versus a trader, very different breed. When we think about how crypto is seen as some people as gambling, okay, and we see these platforms. So there's a platform that came out a few years ago called stake.com, which is allowing people to bet essentially on whether that's casinos or sports betting, using their crypto to bet with. Mm-hmm. And there was a really interesting interview that I listened to with the founder, and he said, you have to understand the reason that it's so successful, he said, is that people that trade crypto have a much higher tolerance for risk. And so because they have a higher tolerance for risk, the risk decisions they're making aren't, off the charts as they would be normally. Mm-hmm. When I look at anyone trading on any form of exchange, whatever that may be, that could be Forex, commodities, it can be CFDs and crypto. When you trade, you make decisions based upon the information that you've gathered.
Yeah.
Or you stick your finger in the air and you wonder which way the wind's going. When you look at the people, the clients that you have, and you look at the education that you're offering them, does it take them a while to consume that information, to learn more, or do you find that people are getting in and when they open an account and having a go and buying and selling or buying and holding?
So you definitely get a fair share of speculators, right? And that's what sort of the first bucket of people we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You know, they're speculating on asset prices. Crypto's volatile, so they get a lot of movements, and whether that's through charting, some kind of sort of macro news, or finger in the air. But I think
Bill in the pub.
Yeah.
Bill in the pub. He's the plumber, Bill. Yeah, he told me. I
taxi drivers.
Taxi driver. Oh yeah, taxi drivers. Good.
And so that exists, but I think Binance's mission is definitely to educate about the product, to show financial inclusion, to show how you can exchange value without intermediaries at lower cost. And so Binance Academy is really good. It's a really big resource on Binance. It's got some really high-level stuff, and it goes really low-level stuff. And people do consume that. We actively try and engage in universities to push this, because it's learning about crypto and what you can do with it. It's not really talking about price action. It's not talking about trying to make money. It's talking about buying tools for the future. So buying some of these Web3 protocols that will be part of the future, and they're sort of investments. And we have much more sort of conservative messaging coming out with like dollar cost averaging. You're seeing some of the financial services companies here saying, don't panic, zoom out, you shouldn't be overexposed anyway. So we echo those kind of messages, right? So that breeds more responsible asset allocation for these products. And, that's where we're going, because, we want to grow a healthy industry. And so
if you think about your business over the course of the next 10 years, ideally what you want to be doing is you want to be teaching kids in schools now at 10 years old, and so that they can learn. And so have you had any interaction with the education system and the authorities here in the UAE about bringing a curriculum in that kids can learn, just like you were learning physics and maths and stuff like that, normal subjects? Now, I'm not talking about an after school activity or something unusual, but bringing that in, because I believe that they don't do enough of that around money, let alone anything else: cash flow, credit cards, managing your finances, saving for a mortgage on a property, a deposit on a property, and all that kind of stuff. The kind of conversations you've had, tell me about those and where they've got you, or how they're received.
To my knowledge, I don't think we've gone quite as young as that, because, as you say, I don't think there's a lot of education about money to start with. So, trying to shoehorn in a niche neuro type of currency is going to be a difficult sell.
But you think about that, Alex, and the truth is, when they want to learn something that they think can benefit them, they learn it. And you can use every single online game that exists that kids adopt, and whether it's phone-based, laptop-based, or whatever it is, they work out how to use it quick enough. Every single app that came out, whatever Musically before it was TikTok, my kids were all using that. I didn't even know what it was. I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah.
And so they will learn and adopt new technology and new tools if they think it's in their interest.
Yeah. We're actively engaging in universities here.
Okay.
So, we've done a few courses with Binance Academy, a couple in Dubai, I think in Iraq as well.
Because if I'm 18, should I be able to go and do a degree in crypto or blockchain?
I don't think there is. I know there's masters, but I'm not sure if there's degrees.
I wonder why.
I wonder why as well. I guess there's no one there to teach, because the people that are actively engaged in crypto are full-time in crypto. There's no people that sort of coming out. I mean, I guess there's a few sort of people that maybe have stopped working and could go into it. But I think that, it's just too new. It's still too cutting edge. The experiment is happening live in the real world.
Alex, is this an experiment really? Or is this the future?
It's the future, but you experiment to understand. So these are all experiments. Going back to the web analogy, right? So some of these apps have failed. Some of these websites like MySpace, they failed because they did their version and it was superseded by something else. And that's where we are. Crypto, we're still trying to understand how best to use these products. And people are still learning about how to engage. So the one difficulty with Web3, or one of the difficulties, is you need to pay crypto to engage the smart contracts. So there's a new social platform called FriendTech, and it's based off the Coinbase blockchain, which is layer 2 of Ethereum. And so it leverages Twitter and it acts in a very similar way, but you have to pay. You have to pay gas and you engage. And I was looking at someone, and they had, I think, 190,000 people follow him on Twitter, and 90 people follow him or engage with him on this platform. And it's free to follow someone on Twitter, and it's not free to do this. So it's still a bit difficult. And so maybe that will disappear. Maybe we'll find a way that we won't need to pay gas fees for certain interactions. And trying to explain to someone, let's use Twitter again. If you suddenly have to start paying per message, or top up your gas tank to for a year, people start dying out. People or people are very comfortable with the current paradigm. You give them data, they give you service, right? But that's what people want to change for Web3, and we're experimenting on how to do it. And all these new products, and the beauty of crypto is it's open source. So, someone can lift that and go, well, I really like this idea, but we can change these bits and pieces. And they do. And it keeps evolving like that. Whereas, again, Web 2 was closed door. You didn't see their code. You maybe could try and copy it, but you didn't see it.
Yeah.
But it's much freer for Web 3.
When you look at your own investment portfolio and the decisions you've made over the years, you've obviously been exposed and highly analytical, and you've been exposed to the various markets. What kind of investor would you regard yourself as? You're a good investor? You're a cautious investor? How does it work with you? Or are you snowed under with work and you don't ever get the best out of your own money?
Definitely the last one. Okay. I mean, but conservative, or at least I understand the risk, right? So coming from sitting on a desk, trading interest rates, and really understanding what your risks are. And what actually brought me to start working for trading companies rather than trading was was it 2010 here, where the Dubai property crash happened. And I was trading short sterling front of the curve interest rates, and they went wild. And everyone was like, why is this event happening so far away? Different. I mean, dirham's pegged to the dollar, so far away, like destroying our yield curve. No one in the office could answer. And then I sort of realized, this is not known. There's too many wild factors in finance, and so from that point on, I've always sort of been cautious, and that's why I didn't buy enough Bitcoin at the time, right? Lots of people that are now fabulously wealthy through crypto, unfortunately, it's a little bit of survivor bias. These are the guys that went all in at the right time, and it worked. But lots of people have gone all in on crypto a few times, and it not worked. Mm-hmm. And so, that's always something you need to bear in mind. And so that's the kind of investor I sort of do understand that there's always a unknown risks to
And
any.
when you look at your own investment strategies and portfolios, you take into consideration all options rather than just only crypto yourself.
I'm more heavily crypto, but I have my wife to balance me out. And she has a very balanced portfolio. But as a family, it's balanced out.
Sure.
And then, but it's a similar thing. She looks at investments in ESG, and what we need to do to continue living in the future in the way that we want. And so, picking these thematic investments for the future is what we're doing.
And let's go back to Binance for a second here. Biggest exchange in the world, obviously famously founded by CZ, who became quite a well-known character in mainstream media in many respects as well. Is he your boss?
So he is my boss's boss. So my boss is Richard, and CZ is Richard's boss.
Okay.
And
give me some insight on him. I want to know inside the stuff that people haven't heard before. What kind of a guy is he like, and how have you enjoyed working with him?
He's very chilled, but very thorough. He's got a very laid back personality, but has no problem asking questions, has no hesitation on calling things out. For me, there's that kind of interactions are sort of easier. I prefer people really shoot in and say, what's this
Black
problem? Yeah, and that's how he is. But he's super relaxed, really, really humble. So I deal with him more professionally. I see him out and about sometimes, and I've had dinner with a big group of us a few times. But a friend of a friend went out for coffee with him. And he was just really surprised, just very relaxed, very pro crypto. He's here for the good and to build things. And he's enjoying what he's doing, and you definitely get that purpose. And I think you see that. I think it's genuine. No one that interacts with him thinks anything other than him being genuine.
That's good. It's good to work with something like that. So when you look forward and you take your career and think about the future, you've been at Binance now for how long?
Just over 18 months.
And just to repeat your position, you're the executive director and general manager of Binance in the Middle East.
So Binance FZE, the entity that's established in Dubai.
Okay. And how many entities are there around the world?
I don't know that. We have
Lots.
A few. I mean, there are 18 licensed entities around the world. I'm pretty sure that's the number.
Okay.
But I am very much concentrated on Dubai and the UAE and where we are there. The rest of the registrations are global. I mean, I help talk to some of the people, like other managers, when sort of understanding. But just look at the region here.
Just talk to me before we finish about the relationship that crypto has with the UAE and how it's perceived, and maybe compared to other places, what you've learned and how they've decided to adopt it here. Are they, because we hear in the press that they're very pro crypto and they're very keen to be the home of crypto, but are they really?
Yes. The leadership here have made a stance that they want to be a crypto enabler. They want to develop Web3, especially the Dubai government. They've established VARA, so a specific virtual asset regulator. They have the Dubai Metaverse Assembly. They have the Ministry of AI. They understand that Web3 is a new economy, and it has the ability to put them in the center of the globe. It gives them a lot of ability to become a knowledge-based economy. The whole goal, I think, for the whole of UAE is to sort of diversify at some point. Tourism but now knowledge base away from hydrocarbons. Saying that, they are also very prudent and conservative. And, just because crypto wants to go 100 miles an hour doesn't mean they will. So it's about, everyone from
That's
the
an
top.
interesting thing you just said, actually, isn't it? Because you guys want to go 100 miles an hour doesn't mean that they're going to do that just to allow you to keep your pace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're making sure everyone understands it before they go forward. They're doing it to bring economy here, the crypto economy. They've got big schemes which we know work. Like Divide 10x, D33. These government initiatives work because they have the runway and they have the desire to do it. And so we're definitely seeing that come into fruition here.
It's exciting times.
Absolutely. It's you get excited about crypto. I definitely get excited about crypto. And I think the government here, they want to build these new economies and they want to be at the forefront of it. Any country that dominates an industry becomes a global power, right? You see that in the other industries. And so that puts you on the stage globally, and it gives you, a lot of power going forward. And that's really what they want.
Awesome. Alex, thank you so much for coming to chat with us today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Spencer. It's been a pleasure.